Interface Video presents Fairfield Today. Brought to you by Fairfield Federal Savings and Loan, Fairfield Medical Center, Fairhope Hospice and Palliative Care, the Fairfield County Board of Developmental Disabilities, and the Frankie Smith Funeral Home.
Hi, and welcome to Fairfield Today. I am your host, Temple Custer Montanez, with the Fairfield County Board of Developmental Disabilities. And what a treat today. I have to tell you, we are at the Early Literacy Center, which is part of the Fairfield County District Library chain. We are located at 2855 Helena Drive, which is in Carroll, but it's just off Coompath Drive. It's just a quick hop, skip, and a jump from Lancaster, from Carroll, from Canal Winchester. So before we do anything today, I have to tell you, this place is amazing. If you haven't been out here, I encourage you to come out and use this library branch, and specifically to take advantage of the Early Literacy Center, which we're going to be exploring today. And we were invited here by my dear friend, Rebecca Nixon, and Rebecca is our Early Intervention Supervisor at Fairfield County Board of DD. Thanks for being with us and having us here, Rebecca.
Thank you. It's great to have you here. And as you can see, the energy for children and families is just so exciting at this place.
I got to tell you, if there had been a place like this when my little girl was growing up, I would have been here daily.
I know. And awesome. Once families start coming, this is when the kids walk to that one point in the library, it's like this is their spot, and they just absolutely love it.
Well, at Fairfield DD, we talk a lot about inclusion and about how important it is to get people with and without disabilities together in one place. And in doing so, we make people, or we help people with developmental disabilities, and in this case, in particular, children, become of their community instead of simply in their community. And also, I know that for me, I have 5 adopted children, and meeting other parents was one of the most valuable resources that I had in raising my children. And I can see here that that's starting to happen as well. Is that sort of, how did this all come about, I guess?
Well, in 2010, when we made the decision to change our service provision to evidence-based practices, it meant that we were going to no longer bring families into Forest Rose School for our program, and we had playgroups there. So we moved our services into the homes, into the community. We meet them where they are. So we go to the AHA Children's Museum, we come here. But we also realized that one thing that took a hit was that socialization for children. And as you said, the parent-to-parent connection piece. So 3-4 years ago, the Early Literacy Center and the library opened up this, and we just have the best relationship. They love our energy. They know that families come once with us, and then they're coming back on their own. And it's just a wonderful win-win situation for everybody.
That's fantastic. So for those of you who are not familiar with early intervention and what that means, the children that you support and their families that are in the early intervention program, for lack of a better term, with Fairfield DD does not necessarily mean that they will receive services from us for their entire adult life, correct? I mean, early intervention is what it's all about.
Correct. It's services from 0 to 3, and the concept of early intervention is really to give that support as early as possible in life so that you can make the greatest impact, so that just like you said, these children will, many of them will exit out of our services or maybe after preschool services and no longer need additional support. So we're really blessed about that. I want to go back to that other thing you said, Temple, which is we also realized how important it is for people, whether you're involved in DD services or not, to all interact and be together. So as you walked in here today, it's like I said to you, I'm not sure who's who. So some people that are here today are just from the community, and either they knew about our play group through the library or through us the last time they were here, or they are discovering it just today. And then there's at least 3, 4, or 5 families today that are here that are from our are receiving our services. So that's a really sweet thing right there.
Oh, absolutely. And so, yeah, just to make that distinction too, the Early Literacy Center here at the library is open during library hours, regardless of whenever it is. It's not affiliated with Fairfield DD. This particular play group that we're visiting today is something that happens at the Early Literacy Center, but that Fairfield DD, and in particular early intervention, you invite your families to attend. Is that pretty much the way it goes?
We just put the same flyer that we put out in the community. We give it to them every 3 to 6 months when we update it, and encourage them to come for that socialization piece that is so important for little children, to learn how to share, to learn how to play in group settings. And when you see the parachute play, you'll see it's just really magic how that happens.
Well, and I think, too, that there's a component when we talk about integration amongst a community of people with and without disabilities, that you can't start early enough with that acceptance piece. And I know we see that at Forest Rose School with our integrated preschool programs, which I've always thought is a beautiful thing. Children are very accepting at a very young age. And so, the earlier the better.
I've seen that at Forest Rose too, because that's where my office is, and it is just so true. And to see children, the older siblings, helping out the other children, and just to know that impact on their whole life as adults and everything will just transcend all the divisions is really heartwarming.
Absolutely. Okay, so you invite families here to this play group. How often?
Right now we have them once a month. There are sometimes we've had special events, but this play group is one time a month on a Friday here at the Early Literacy Center.
Okay, and then does the Early Literacy Center have it at additional times, or do they just do it once a month?
They have many other things going on. They're hopping with activities for children. So their calendar, I can't speak to their calendar. I just know what we do here.
Okay. Well, and there's so much to do here. And I would think, too, that there's a therapeutic benefit to what's happening in the playgroup. Because although we are in a library and we are surrounded by a really impressive display of children's books, I always wanted to be a children's book author, I have to admit. There's a really impressive display of children's books. But in addition to that, this play center, as you'll see, features a lot of educational toys. And so is there a therapeutic aspect to that?
A therapeutic aspect to, I'm sorry?
To the things outside of books, the toys and the interactions and the educational games and things of that nature.
I recently went on to the Fairfield Library and read their mission, and their mission is about literacy, but it is a bigger scope about supporting the entertainment, the education, and the well-being of all. So we had pieces of adaptive equipment that we wanted to loan to people, and the library offered to share it there through different agencies that came together. So there are some adaptive pieces here, and this is all about learning, and that's what it is, and it's all about play. So it all goes together when it comes to children. It's when we get older that we kind of separate these things out and make everything work-related, fun-related. So with kids, it's all about play.
I love that, and I'm very envious. One thing I do want to touch on real quickly before we talk to some of your staff members that are here, because I realize it takes a village. There's a lot of parents and staff members here as well. Is how do you feel that element of play impacts the development of a child, either with or without a disability, but particularly a child with a disability? Because I know you emphasize play in the home and with family as being a really integral part of the process.
Trying to think how to answer that. The essence of learning for little ones is through their play. And so, and finding out what their interests are, and then for all children, but especially kids with that need some extra help, finding out what they're passionate and what they love to do, and then jumping on that with them and challenging them to the next levels. And for whatever the reason. I mean, it may be a child that has a communication delay, a little boy, for example, that maybe just loves to run, jump, ride his tricycle, those type of things. Then, we may be talking about, let's get outside and get that bike. And you may be thinking, why? He doesn't have any problems with his gross motor skills. It's communication. But you can encourage with going and doing and stopping, all those kind of basic communication pieces that can be added to gross motor, fine motor, those pieces of development.
I love that. Well, thank you very much, Rebecca, for having us here. And when we come back, we're going to talk to another representative from the Early Intervention Program. Again, I am Temple Custer Montanez with the Fairfield County Board of DD, and we are at the Early Literacy Center. And welcome back to Fairfield Today. I am your host, Temple Custer Montanez, with the Fairfield County Board of Developmental Disabilities. And this morning we have the rare treat of being at the Early Literacy Center, which is part of the Fairfield County District Library. This particular library is located at 2855 Helena Drive, which is in Carroll. But it's really, really close to downtown Lancaster. It's close to Carroll. It's close to Canal Winchester, just off Coon Path Road. If you have not been to this particular branch, and particularly to the children's section and the Early Literacy Center, I highly recommend that you do that. And I even noticed there's a little Peter Rabbit garden outside, which is really neat too. Well, I'm really tickled to have with me today Melissa Shear, who is a developmental specialist with early intervention. And here come some of our little friends running through here as well. Melissa, tell me a little bit about this play group and what successes you've seen come from this.
Okay, well, I can't remember exactly how many years ago we started this, but it's just such a nice thing to let parents know. First of all, this is sort of like a hidden gem. You don't know it's here unless you've been here. And oftentimes some of the other libraries, I've had families go there, and it's just been kind of hard. You know, like computers are near the kids' toys, and it's hard for them to play. But the nice thing about this library, of course, is the setup. And I've had families that, you know, I've encouraged them to come, and it's almost like once they've been here, they want to come back. I've gone into homes, and after they've been to a play group, they're like, oh, we went there this weekend, and it gives parents, families something to do on rainy days, and just trying to get children out in the community, show parents all the places that are free that they can go and spend time with their children, meet parents, see other children. And it's been a nice connection for some families that have come here and met other families that maybe then they will get together or have their own little group. So yeah, that's...
Well, and I love that because we talked about that earlier with Rebecca, that, you know, by bringing people together, that some relationships form organically, which is a huge goal, not only for early intervention program, but for everybody that we support at Fairfield ED, is how do we make those connections? And when there are places like this in the community that already exist, where people can come together and form those organic relationships, it's such a blessing. How many kids do you get at this?
It depends. I have one family today they've already transitioned on, but it's so awesome. They showed up. That's a nice thing when people you've been with in the past come. Then it's nice to connect with the moms or dads and see the changes in the child. It typically varies. We usually have at least 3 to sometimes 10 of families that are in early intervention. And then, of course, there are a lot of community families who just happen to wander in, or they've seen our brochure in other places that come check it out. We've had families that are not in our program that come back again.
I love that. I love that. I love that integration piece. Well, Melissa, well done. Thank you so much for visiting with us today. And we're going to take a little bit more of a look around here. And gosh, I kind of want to come back.
Come on over and play.
I'd love to play. We'll be right back. And welcome back to the Early Literacy Center here at the library branch on, let me get the address right, 2855 Helena Drive here in Carroll, not far from downtown, not far from Carroll, not far from Canal Winchester. If you haven't been to this branch, I encourage you to do so. We're here with a play group today, if you can't tell by all the craziness, the fun playing that's going on. And I'm with my friend Roberta Fearing, said that correctly. And Roberta, you are here at Playgroup today because you've had a child supported by early intervention that you've been bringing to this playgroup. Is that right?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, and tell me what it's like for you and what has been so successful about this playgroup for you and your children.
What's really successful about this playgroup is just that, you know, it's all different ages. Normally it's like from like birth to like 3 years, but it's all different. Children come out and play, and there's no really set time. I mean, it's like an hour, but everybody just comes and we just play and hang out. We learn new things, and it's really fun. My favorite part is the parachute at the end.
I've heard a lot about the parachute.
The parachute is the best part because it's like when it gets kind of stuffy in here. So when you raise it up real high, it's like getting fan air conditioner. Oh, it feels so nice.
It's a little bit of child labor, maybe, Roberta.
Yeah, well, I mean, the kids, they enjoy it, so we're not gonna.
We won't. They'll keep that on the down low, I'm sure. So, Roberta, you have a son that has been supported by early intervention now, but he's aged out, correct?
Yes, he has. Yeah, he's aged out, which was sad because I'm gonna really miss Melissa. That's who's been coming out and helping us, and Judy, she was the physical therapist, and then he had speech therapy, but he's gonna get help through Sycamore Creek Elementary, and they're gonna be doing they had his IEP done there, and he's gonna be going to preschool. So, I mean,
Well, we always like to hear the happy endings too. So, for your son, how did this impact him being able to come out and play with all different types of children?
It's really helped him grow. He was first like kind of shy, but now he's like really warmed up. It's just helped. Honestly, with Melissa coming out and working with him, it's really opened him up. When Melissa first started coming to him, he wasn't walking, he wasn't talking. She's worked with him really with techniques to get him to upstanding and to get him talking and just opening up with other little kids. And this play group is really fun because I'm a stay-at-home mom, so it gets me out of the house and not in trouble, like into the shopping malls and buying stuff. So
We won't tell about that either.
no, we won't. We'll just, that'll be our little secret. Just don't tell anybody.
Well, and I like that piece. And we talked earlier about the camaraderie amongst parents when you bring your children out to a play group like this, that the advantages for the children are infinite, but there can be a lot of advantages for the parents as well, and making friendships and meeting other parents. Would you agree with that?
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, everybody that comes out is pretty, everybody's just kind of chill and they just want to relax and watch their kids play, and you hang out and you get to know them and you get to know their kids. And it's really nice to know that you're not the only one in this situation. You're not the only kid that's behind. At first when my doctor said, that she wanted me to go with Help Me Grow, I was hesitant at first just because I didn't want to accept the fact. But now that I've got in with the program and everything, I've made new friends, and it's really nice.
And that's what it's all about. So, Roberta, thank you so much for talking with us. Again, I am Temple Custer Montanez with the Fairfield County Board of Developmental Disabilities. I am at the Early Literacy Center, which is part of the Fairfield County the Fairfield County District Library. We're at 2855 Helena Drive in Carroll. Please get on the website and check out this facility and get directions here and come out to play with Roberta and her kiddos and the rest of the kids here. And until next time, I'm Temple with the Fairfield County Board of Developmental Disabilities.
Interface Video presents Fairfield Today. Brought to you by Fairfield Federal Savings and Loan, Fairfield Medical Center, Fair Hope Hospice and Palliative Care, the Fairfield County Board of Developmental Disabilities, and the Frankie Smith Funeral Home.